Hello everybody, Ben here, and in today's video I'm at Harbour Station on the Fistiniog and Welsh Highland Railway to ride on the Aberglaslyn Gold train to Beddgelert station.
You've got the back views, I believe. Well, you're all right.
Can we go?
Yeah.
How's it get round there? Go to the front.
I would hope he's got good brakes.
If he hasn't, he's going to spill your tea.
We'll be squashed.
Which one did you say was taken here?
There's a couple there I've got.
Oh, okay.
5, 6 and 7 of the very. So that was ours, but she said there's no key in any.
The journey starts a bit unusually, with the train snaking its way across a road. I don't believe any other railway journeys are like this in the UK.
I haven't got the exact money here.
It's alright, it's just having a funny one. It's worked this morning.
Can you change your tenner?
Yes. Thank you very much.
We then cross over the standard gauge diamond, again another unusual feature of this journey. We pass what I believe is the Welsh Highland Heritage Railway at Beddgelert's farm. There is the odd glimpse of a wagon even here through the bushes. Before we then pass a small signal box, before seeing the physical but seldom used connection between the two railways at Penway Mount. With the Snowdonian Mountains in the distance, we pass over the reclaimed land of Treneth Moor. I wonder how bad my Welsh pronunciations are. Anyway, it means big estuary, and until the building of the Cobb, this was actually underwater, which I guess is unusual, showing how much land was actually reclaimed and how different building the railway turned out this area to be. It was funny to watch this handle, which I believe is a mechanical lubricator on Garrett 143, to go around in circles. Next up on the journey is Point Coressor Station, which takes its name from a nearby bridge, and it was only opened in 2010, so quite a recent station. In fact, it's younger than me. I noticed here in the loop that the sleepers are made of steel, which is unusual. I don't see that too often, usually it's more concrete or wood.
Milk is those little sachets.
Yes, I'll bring them through. I go off now, manifest, I'll bring you some.
Cross over the Aberglaslyn Bridge for the first of 3 times before running parallel to the road for some time. The marvellous mountain views include views of Moel Hebog to the west, and to the east are Moelbach, Moelen, Moor and Snit, or Knit, I don't know quite how you say that. It's a bit of a weird name. And supposedly it looks like the Matterhorn and is known as the Little Matterhorn because of its similar shape. As we go around the curve at Cresco Junction, it's actually interesting to see the track in front of the train, showing kind of how tight this curve is as we head into the woods and away from the sea and more into the Snowdonian Mountains. The coach I'm sat in is one of the Festiniog Railway's observation saloons. It's called Glasswyn, and I believe it was even named by the late Queen Elizabeth II. Due to its large panoramic windows at the end, there's quite a lot of light in and a lot of glass windows, which means you may see some glimpses of my legs or my hands, which, especially later in the video, is a little bit of an annoyance. We then pass over the Glasswyn River for a second time, obviously once again on a bridge, but this time a little bit different of a design of bridge, I'd say. The railway is never too far away from the Afon Glasswyn River, and we meet it quite a few times on this journey, especially in the Aberglaslyn Pass, which comes later in the video. But here we see the river once again as we continue on our journey, being hauled by Garrett 143. These NGG 16 Garretts are among the most largest and powerful steam locomotives built for 2-foot narrow gauge railways. These locomotives were originally built for South African railways, but eventually they were bought by the Welsh Highland Railway and used here. I believe they have 5 of them, numbers 87, 130, 138, 140 and this one 143. They are all built by Bayer Peacock in 1958. The change in landscape is very evident, with much more trees and these very high rock cuttings as we continue heading inland. They are much higher than the train is, and you can even see the road down there below as it also heads inland, and we're high up on an embankment going around on a curve here, which is quite an interesting sight to see, I would say.
Years ago, coming down off the South Ridge, down the years, we'd always walk down the old railway track, which was no longer there.
On this journey we pass through more rock cuttings, though these ones not quite as tall or impressive as the first ones we've seen, but still quite an unusual thing that I don't think you see on a lot of lines. Nantmore, I believe, is a request stop, so we don't stop here, instead we sail straight through. Once we pass over the level crossing at the end of the station, you can hear the exhaust note of the engine change as we begin to head up the hill and the engine is worked harder to haul our train. Curve round once we pass Nantmore to enter the first of 3 tunnels on this line. Of these NGG 16 Garretts are particularly apparent when they're hauling a 10-coach train through a tunnel up a very steep gradient, which I believe, I'm not quite sure but what it is, but it's probably very steep. And it's still funny to me being able to see a big Garrett loco just straight in front of me, because we're sat right at the front of the train in seat number 1 no less. As we burst out into the tunnel and back into the light, we're straight into the Aberglaslyn Pass, which is just south of Beddgelert. This is probably the most scenic part of the journey as we go in this high gorge with the Glasswyn River far down below. Definitely a beautiful landscape. I think it was voted by the National Trust members as their favourite site in Britain even. And I think it's definitely one of the most famous images, or places for images to be taken of the Welsh Highland, with the large NG16 Garretts as they pass through this landscape.
Yeah,
Running below the railway line is the Fisherman's Path, which is a rocky trail linking Beddgelert with Nantmore Station, and it follows the river bank kind of like we do. And this enables people to walk right through the pass and obviously see the train, certainly from the outside, and gives a bit of a different perspective to what I'm on now. I think you can see why this location is very popular. Just look. Cross over the Glaslyn River now for the last time on the Brynwy Feeling Bridge. Probably butchered that, but we'll ignore that. Large windows are a bit of a blessing and a curse at the same time. Nice views, but lots of reflections. As our train edges past these rocky outcrops, we enter the quite short goat tunnel before bursting out into the light again at Beddgelert station, which is the end of our outward journey. see here, as we enter Beddgelert station, the Beddgelert, which I believe is number 130, with its train, which I believe is the Harbour Master, which has come from Carnarvon and will be going to Porthmadog. However, to give the crews the same amount of time running the engines, they swapped the engines here, so our Garrett 143 will go on the head of their train, and vice versa. You can see just how long these Welsh Highland trains are here, with 10 or more bogie coaches, and you can see here their 2 Pullmans at the end of their train. When it does go, which you'll hear and see in a minute, it's rather loud and gives a similar feeling to what I had when I was left with my ears ringing, which doesn't bother me. You can see why Garrett 143 was wheel slipping with how many bogie coaches there are. There were some nice views of the Snowdonian Mountains while sat in the sun on Beddgelert station, which was rather nice. And shortly after the train had left, you could still hear it, sort of the echo of the whistle and the pistons. It was quite a nice experience actually, sat here in the sun. We then see Garrett 130 reversing onto the head of our train. You can see it's a little bit different, not only in colour, but also it's got a different headlamp or rear lamp, obviously depending on which way it's going. You can see here the 2 seats at the front of the train, best views in the house, and I'm in seat number 1 with no one sat next to me, which is rather lucky. You can see how big these windows are and how kind of fancy the whole coach looks with these patterned seats and tables, and obviously the Pullman livery and logo. And I think these are very unique coaches that you don't see nowhere else, particularly in the UK, and you have 4 of these on one heritage railway. I think it's quite an interesting looking coach as well. Very hard to model with those huge panoramic glass windows. Interesting to spend some of the time just looking at Garrett 130 and seeing how it looked. It's quite an interesting look. We've obviously been a Garrett, there's 2 power units, the water at the front. It's quite an unusual thing, and you don't see them outside of here on the Welsh Highland, because the only the Garretts, I don't think there's a standard gauge one, and you don't see that much. Now, with the Garrett removed at the back, it allows a nice view out of the large panoramic windows and of the track stretching behind you. It's obviously a very unique view, very privileged to be able to sit in this position, seat number 1 no less, and see the scenery disappear behind us. Snowdonian scenery disappear behind us as we head back to the sea and Porthmadog at Harbour Station. I'm going to tell you a bit more about this trip. So we went on the 17th of July, obviously 2024, and this journey is about 3 hours. Passing over the Glasswing River again, and this seat here costs a whole £66, so rather a lot, very expensive, especially for such a short journey. It's only about, I don't know, it's no more than 16 miles or something, I can't remember how many miles it is, but it's not very long basically. It's £6 extra over the standard seat in the Aberglaslyn Gold, which allows you to see the first class. But I think this seat, the cost is worth it at times like this, when you see the Aberglaslyn Pass in its full view with these large panoramic windows, no Garrett, no Loco in the way, just the wonderful scenery. The short rocky tunnels are also quite interesting as well. I don't think you see that in many other places either. I think it's quite an interesting view being in a tunnel and being able to see another one. And it's only sort of a jagged, rocky, short thing obviously, but it's still very weird. Kind of cool, I would say. It's still nice to see the Glasswing River down below in the gorge. the nice views out the big windows allows for these interesting time lapses as we head back towards Porthmadog Harbour Station, showing the sort of flowing curves at the start of the line as we're still kind of in the foothills, but then the more straighter sections as we're over the reclaimed land and the new bits of the railway which don't follow the old alignment. As I mentioned earlier in the video, the train is £66 for this journey, but it's only a 3-hour journey, which works out to about £22 an hour, something like £2.72 every minute you're on the train, so obviously very expensive. Now for someone like me, I don't mind having a garret in front of me. It's quite interesting to see it, being an unusual loco, especially here in the UK. But for someone who maybe just more wants to see the scenery, which is a big draw of this, obviously with the Aberglaslyn Pass, it may be a bit of annoying having a big loco stuck in front of you. So bear that in mind if you want to travel on this journey. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's one of only 2 seats really right at the front of the train, an unobstructed view of the Snowdonia and Aberglaslyn Pass, and obviously the Garret 143. As we see now the changes as we head back into Porthmadog, a bit more industrial and built up, and obviously crossing another road. And now we're back in Porthmadog and Harbour Station. Thank you for watching this video by me. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment down below with some video ideas or feedback. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.